Varnashram, more or less like full-time grihasthas, dedicated living in the temple, and but their deceit is you know um, just give me 1 minute. I don't. So, a Swanishta devotee, I'm repeating and we read it, but just to sink in, indulging in sense gratification on the pretext of satisfying the Lord means who will invite me for prasad, that way I can enjoy it. Like me. Second thing, instead of serving very sincere Nirapeksha devotees, serving rich influential materialists. Alright. That is another way of donkey run. Bathing in donkey run. Third thing, accumulating more wealth than ever needed. Fourth one, enthusiasm for meaningless temporary gains. And fifth one, teaching others a twisted logic and self-motivated speculation in the name of education. Sixth one, wearing a dress of a renunciate to attract wearing a dress of a renunciate to attract in order to gain some mileage, some material prestige. That is the hypocrisy of Swanishta devotees. Then what is the hypocrisy of Parinishta devotees? 2, making an external show of strictly following. We saw that, but I'm repeating it today purposefully. And today, we'll come next week. We'll go to the next verse. So, in the case of Parinishta devotees, means congregation members, they are following Varnashram Dharma also. Making a show of strictly following the rules, but inside they're internally very attached to metal objects. And instead of associating with devotees, they prefer to retain the old associations, prefer to retain friendships, prefer to associate with non-devotees. Are preaching karna hai to, we are very strict, we are losing everyone, so touch mein rehna, we should go to New Year parties, we'll not be so, will not take part in it. But, we want to tell them we are with you. That is hypocrisy. And Nirapeksha devotees, deceitful nature of Nirapeksha devotees, I am very advanced. I have preached to all of you. If I were not there, you would not be there. I am a brahmachari. I am a monk. I am doing full time in the temple. Second one, thinking oneself superior to others simply by wearing a dress of a renounced person. Third one, collecting wealth, material wealth for food and clothing more than required. Fourth one, improperly associating the opposite sex in the name of spiritual practices. Fifth one, staying with materialistic people Staying with materialistic people with an expectation of receiving wealth rather than visiting Krishna's temple. Sixth one, being inwardly anxious and worried about collecting more wealth while making a pretense of bhakti, pretense of performing devotional service. Hare Krishna. Seventh one, being very concerned with the external dress and rules, rather than, rules more than devotion to Krishna. Eighth one, overlooking or neglecting the main purpose of spiritual life. So, from this deceitful nature, cheating propensity, and wrong, bad arguments, and false conclusions, they come out of this bhakti. If we practice bhakti with cheating, these things will happen. Our conclusions will be wrong. Second thing, we develop a cheating propensity. Third thing, anarthas, leading to offenses. So today, what is that? Excuse me. Deceitful nature. So next week we'll go to the next verse. Very interesting, actually. I felt, let me take one more class. It's more for me, actually. What makes us pretend? Pride. We have an expectation of what we are. Or we want to be here. We want to be here, but I'm here. But the problem is, excuse me. Reality, I'm here, but I want to be here. And I think I'm here. That's the problem. Pride. We take we take pride in what we have, what we possess, and pride will make us pretend. When we are chanting, I'm talking to myself, so bad chanting about, envy is coming, anger is coming, lust is coming, greed is coming. Suddenly devotees come. Hey, you do this, you do this. I will. Because of the dress. Hare Krishna. So that will trigger anarthas. Pride will trigger anarthas. What is the next one? Next anartha that will trigger? Honor and recognition. Honor and recognition. And the beauty with this anartha is, I'm sorry, I'm using the word beauty. As long as somebody respects you, you think you're a pure devotee. I don't want respect. One person stops respecting you or reduces his respect. What a pain it creates. What a pain it creates. Hare Krishna. How many of you have an experience? My hand is up, actually. Anyone has any experience? If you have, that's best, actually. If you don't have, I don't know what to say. So these anarthas, unwanted things, anarthas means they come in a very subtle way. They come in a very subtle way. And sometimes they come in such a subtle way you don't even recognize that is anartha. And we actually support ourselves with anartha. Arjuna was giving Krishna all the reasons for not fighting. You know, Arjuna's attachment to his family members is exhibiting in the form of compassion. But of course, Arjuna is pure devotee with Krishna. But Krishna, of course, rejected that type of compassion, material compassion. You know, and anarthas are very difficult to realize unless we are very strict in studying our heart, introspection. So actually, I'm not, Bhaktivinoda Maharaj said this, quoting Arjuna doesn't mean Arjuna had anartha, but Krishna put Arjuna, confused Arjuna. Krishna bewildered, Krishna put Arjuna in that confusion so that he can speak Bhagavad Gita to the mankind. Arjuna is an eternally liberated personality. Nitya Siddha devotee. But that point of time, yes, Arjuna was confused. So anyway, anarthas are very difficult to recognize. Sometimes we think, in the scriptures, whenever somebody would do tapasya, Indra would send apsaras. Why Indra doesn't send to us? Indra does send. Devatas have full access to the senses. And we go in the past sometimes. We go in the past and we meditate. That's what Indra is trying to distract us from our chanting. So sometimes anarthas also take beautiful shape. I want to, what is that? I want to preach. Why you want to preach? What happened? What is triggering you to preach? I want to do the fundraising. Our temple should start, if you have a shop, temple should, encourage everyone to donate. Why don't you put a board here? Donate here. The rice, we accept rice, atta, all these things. Just because you're opposite temple, so you want to indirectly use the temple to sell your stuff. Anartha. But when anartha, is gross, we can detect it. Sometimes people become envious actually. When people become envious, then she needs support. Someone needs to support her. We don't go so fast in bhakti, slow down. Dangerous, envy. So when anartha is very subtle, difficult and difficult to recognize also. That's why a sadhaka has to thoroughly, what do you call, introspect himself or herself regularly. The deceitful nature puts us, actually when we are in the bodily consciousness, when we think we are this body, that will actually by nature, the mind is in mode of goodness. But impelled by false ego, when we identify ourselves with the body, material body, and the soul starts identifying with the temporary material body, then that brings mind into mode of passion. That brings mind into mode of passion. Then uh, we start making offenses actually, because self-centeredness is there. When self-centeredness is there, when at the moment you are removed from the center, you start trying to put yourself in the center. When it is not possible, when somebody is obstructing, you will become angry with them. You'll start, Hare Krishna. So when the offenses start happening, offenses to especially Guru, when we may bow down outwards. We may bow down outwards, but inwards we have no faith. It's true with Guru also. If anyone check, sometimes we don't have faith, or the faith is low. Sometimes the faith is high. It's based on three modes also. It is based on our conditioning also. So when we start, we may bow down, respect, but when we don't have faith, that lead to kutinati. Prabhupada calls kutinati as spiteful talk. Hypocrisy, that lead to hypocrisy. Means we say one thing externally, but inside, we know you very well. Hare Krishna. So kutinati leads to cruelty, violence, and loose talk. When this quality, when it attacks, that deceitful nature leading to kutinati, when we are affected by that, what happens is our faith towards spiritual master wanes. Our faith towards the spiritual master becomes weak and weaker. Excuse me. Our faith towards spiritual master becomes weak. And we may bow down, we may speak very well about him, but inside it is very weak. One time, one devotee published a paper in New York City. He published a paper in New York City. Please come, Satsang, Hare Krishna, Satsang, Hare Krishna. I know His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami is going to speak. And for your information, this man has brought, this man has transformed so many lives. This man has transformed so many lives. Something like that, he put it. So then Prabhupada came, they showed the poster. They put the poster all over Manhattan. Then Prabhupada said, this is not such it's a very poor poster. Why, Prabhupada? We should not regard Guru as a man. Means you are slowly trying to bring Guru to your level. Hare Krishna. You understand? So you're trying to bring a Guru to your level. Actually, I can tell you one thing. When you quarrel with somebody, whoever it is, when we become angry with somebody, we are bringing them to our level first. If you become angry with your teacher, you should know you're bringing him or her to your level. Then only you can become angry on them. So before becoming angry, we will wipe out the line of respect. Everyone is listening? Huh?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So then what happens when we have this kutinati and our faith towards spiritual master is not strong, not so strong, then what happens? We start speaking ill of devotees, Hare Krishna, and we become careless. We become careless and we indulge in talks. Corona means Corona times means Corona. American election time means election. And Indian whatever, India. So, the flood of America means American flood. Talk. When we devotees come together and meet, there is no Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, this loose talk is a demon. Loose talk is a demon. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says there are four qualities of a devotee. What are the four qualities? Last week I told two. Simplicity, simplicity, frankness, uh, absorption of absence of hypocrisy, and not following the uh, opinions of others. So Hitopadesh says a person who says what he, a person who does what he says is a Mahatma. But whereas a person, he says one thing and he does another thing, that person is a hypocrite actually. That person is hypocrite. So last week I was telling 100 offenses, we become hypocrite. Chanting 100 offenses in a day, when we chant, we become a hypocrite. 1,000 offenses. Hare Krishna. When we perform 1,000 offenses, our desire to perform austerities in the path of bhakti, that desire is gone. Okay, Ekadasi is coming tomorrow. I'll follow. Then you give it up. Or you follow Ekadasi, and you take pride. You want whole world to know you have done Ekadasi. You know what? It's almost 5 years now. I'm doing Ekadasi every. How difficult it is. Somehow I manage it. Krishna's mercy. You want the whole world to know that you're observing Ekadasi. Hare Krishna. You know. And when we perform 10,000 offenses, beadbag is taken away. Actually, when we perform 1,000 offenses, 100 to 1,000, our chanting becomes inattentive. Our chanting becomes inattentive. Correct. So, what is it? Krishna's name is so powerful. We can become pure just like that. Our heart is cleansed of all the impurities that have been accumulated billions of times. You know, you see sometimes children becoming ecstatic because they don't know anything. Everyone is dancing, let me dance. Then Krishna gives when Krishna sees that the childlike innocence, immediately Krishna is very inspired. And what Krishna gives them an opportunity. Just excuse me 1 minute. I wish. So, um, holy name can purify us left and right, just like that. We can progress from another nivritti to nishta to ruchi and asakti bhava prema. It happens very well. It happens very fast. Why it is not happening fast? Who is pouring water on the fire of holy name? Only one. Offenses. What is that? Offenses. And so when we practice bhakti like that, our heart is filled with deceitfulness, and deceitfulness is triggering offenses. In other words, we are practicing impure bhakti. In other words, we are taking bath in donkey urine. Instead of taking bath from the dust, taking bath from the dust of the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna, you're taking bath of a donkey urine. And rather than becoming purified, we are becoming contaminated. Then what happens? Our heart becomes hard. Holy name instead of actually, Yugal Kishore explains, holy name instead of um, saving us from the attack of Maya, onslaught of Maya, holy name Krishna will expose us to Maya. Hare Krishna. Because of the because of the offenses we are performing continuously towards devotees. So always we think, we have a goal. I want to go back to Godhead. Means what? I want to be there. I want to free from this hell. I want to be free. I want to be free from the suffering. I want to, these anxieties. But we don't want to serve Krishna. We don't want to serve Krishna. So the point is, if that we may chant 10,000 lifetimes, chanting so many extra rounds also. But if it doesn't trigger the qualities needed to perform bhakti, qualities needed to practice bhakti, then we are nowhere. So bhakti is the goal. Bhakti is goal itself. Prabhupada said, what do you expect by chanting? More. We chant more. What is the goal of chanting? To chant. Chanting is Krishna. So when you chant Krishna, you're serving Krishna actually. Gopis, when Krishna is not there, gopis, they take shelter of Krishna by chanting the holy name. And when Krishna comes, gopis serve Krishna. So when Krishna is not there, gopis serve the holy name. So in other words, we chant to chant. So bhakti is the goal in itself. We forget that. And we have a particular goal in bhakti to attain. I hope it is not material, then it's useless. Of course, Krishna fulfills in such a way we'll never look for it again. That's a different thing. So, uh, um, so if we want to be careful, what principles that will keep the bhakti pure? Two things. 1, 2. Respect for others and gratitude for what we have got. Yugal Kishore says, even after 30 years, you think I'm a day one neophyte, a day one beginner. I just I started coming to temple past 4 weeks. If that is your nature, when a person new comes and starts, he wants to practice bhakti sincerely, he is respectful to everyone because he's new. But the problem is, you are senior to everyone, senior than everyone. Then problem comes. If you don't have so many qualities, and then we trigger offenses and we can start competing with devotees, and that's not, we'll spoil the entire environment. So 2 points that are very, very important: respect and gratitude. Respect and gratitude. Ajamil, when he chanted, he became very grateful. You know, he became, sorry, what is that? He appreciated Vishnudutas. And from that appreciation came gratitude. Wow. सच में वो लोग नहीं आते तो मैं किधर जा नरक ही जाता था बाप रे you know आके मुझे बचा लिया. He became grateful to Vishnudutas. So gratitude and respect. Actually, when we are respectful to somebody, we don't become angry with them immediately, easily. So respect is a barrier. Respect is a speed breaker. One has to cross before becoming angry. You know, gratitude. You know, we should have respect for devotees. We should have respect for spiritual masters. We should have respect for gratitude for devotees and spiritual master parents. Gratitude. You know, but the nature of the mind enjoys superiority. अच्छा लगता है mind को. I have a question for you. Oh yeah, come. What question you have? Some person is asking question if you're not very careful. Actually, that person is actually, we should be grateful to that person because by asking a question, he is putting us in Krishna, he is in the platform of Krishna consciousness. But what we think, I am here to bless you, deliver you from this doubt, the way Krishna did to Arjuna. You know? So imagine somebody comes and asks, please forgive me, I'm sorry. You know, if you're little intelligent, what you will do? You have put me so much inconvenience. Still, I deliver you. I forgive you. You are forgiven. Means you're putting yourself higher. Superiority. It doesn't work. You know? So, this deceitful nature, kutina despiteful talk. What happens? We'll start, we forget. Actually, no. If people, everyone in Hare Krishnas, everyone thinks my goal of life is to go back to Godhead. I want to attain spiritual world. I want to go back to Godhead. Then whatever happens in your life, the details, that will only make you stronger. But if you forget goal is go back to Godhead, then the drama starts. You become offended left and right. Right? So when we have a tendency of fault finding, then what happens? We want to be leaders. We want to be controllers. Then what happens? We have a recognition. We have a desire for recognition. We desire for a recognition. So when you address deities, I want the whole world to know I address the deity. When I cook prasad, I want the whole world to know I cooked the prasad. When somebody comes and says, you did, they say, you have done a great job. Thank you. Our ego is satisfied actually. We want others to know we have done it. So kutinati will lead to pratishta, false prestige. And that will lead to jiva himsa. We hurt others. We hurt others. Hare Krishna. It's very, very important. So kutinati will lead to pratishta, false prestige, and that will lead to jiva himsa. Whoever doesn't listen to us, we consider them our enemies. Just because Vibhishan corrected Ravana, Ravana considered Vibhishan his enemy, Hare Krishna. We are also no less than that. We are also no less than that. So, So when we become, when we develop cruelty, jivahimsa, we lose the ability to follow principles of pure behavior. You know, how many things we have seen so far? Kutinadi leads to pratishta, that will lead to jivahimsa. Then the fourth one, when we start hurting others, when we start hurting others, what is the fourth one? Our ability to follow, ability to practice pure bhakti is gone. Then the fifth one comes, lust will agitate us. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Lust will agitate us. You know, then when we are in this area, we develop friends with the offenses. You know, offenses will cause us fall down. But how offenses cause us fall down? The first quality offense is crookedness. You know, crookedness means what? Not straightforward. Crooked, Kautilya. So Duryodhana wanted, I told last week, Duryodhana wanted to serve Krishna nicely only to, are you all? Only to
He
tame
not
Krishna.
detected. He not detected ಅಂತ. ಅವ್ರು ಸಾಕು ಅದೇ ನಾನು ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ.
Hare Krishna, can you please mute? Okay, thank you. So, so the point is Kautilyata. Offenses lead us to Kautilyata. I did a seminar on this one time. How the bad chanting will lead us to offenses that will lead us to fall down. The first one, also deceitful nature also triggers offenses that will cause the fall down. Crookedness. Duryodhana. Duryodhana wanted to even manipulate Krishna. And the second one, Vastu Abhiniveshitastvam. What is Vastu Abhiniveshitastvam? Um, um, you want to acquire more and more material things. You know, your focus is external things. In the name of preaching, Hare Krishna. I think I should have a Lexus car, a BMW, so that I can preach nicely. Hare Krishna. No, if it is a genuine desire, that's fine. But in the name of preaching, you want to enjoy, and that is actually vastu abhinivesha, absorption, material things. That will lead to ashraddha. Our faith will start becoming weak. I've seen people becoming weak. They start mixing up the philosophy actually. And another quality that we can find missing is um, what is that? Uh, so anyway, what is it? Ashraddha. We lose faith. Then the next one is bhakti saithilyam. Do you know sithilam? Sithilam means bhakti is destroyed. You know, when the crookedness, kautilyata, leads to the attachment to the external things, that will lead further to the faithlessness, ashraddha. That will lead to that will lead to that will lead one to lose faith and bhakti. Your rounds are not going forward. 2 rounds of so difficult. Or you were chanting last year, before last year, nicely. What happened? People don't know offenses. Then the next one is bhakti krutabhimanatvam. Means whatever results we brought to the temple or to the ISKCON organization, we boast of ourselves. You know, 2000, what is that, 1978, 1977, Prabhupada was there. And I distributed this many books. Or 2000, what is that, 2008, Washington DC, I distribute this money. So we take credit. We develop with the false pride. We develop with false pride. Uh, so what is it? And we start taking. Supposing you do a project, I did it. Menikia, So I have my preaching all this. Of course, me only. You take credit for everything. There's no Krishna. Then in that process, somebody comes, you consider that as your enemy. He's also preaching, you're also preaching. Oh, So we see devotees as competitors, rivals. Hare Krishna. We see devotees as competitors, rivals, jealousy. And that's how even one person is fallen, he'll pull everyone back. Yeah. He'll pull down everyone eventually. If you have one person, he's enough to ruin everything, whatever you have done. But if you have, what is that, few trustworthy people, you can relay them, they will elevate. Okay, then the next point is, whatever whatever is shown, tell me little more about it. Why don't we have a private call? So this type of things are not very encouraged. So to make genuine progress in bhakti, Patho Guru Pathasrayam. Take firmly the shelter of a Guru's lotus feet. But actually, there is a point. What is that point? We don't consider Guru's features externally. My Guru Maharaj is so. I mean, there is nothing wrong thinking like that. Or my Guru Maharaj preaches very well. My Guru Maharaj has so many disciples. We are trying to manufacture a cult here. One time, Govinda Dasi wrote a wonderful letter to Prabhupada expressing her surrender. Prabhupada said the letter is very good, but you should know more than Guru, more than giving value to his physical form, give value to the spiritual message that he gives. That way you get the mercy from the whole parampara and you get the mercy from your Guru. Otherwise, what happens? My Guru used to be, he is very beautiful and amazing, he gives wonderful classes. And you're ignoring whole parampara. Hare Krishna. So we want to end it here. Anyone has any question or comment? Otherwise, we'll end it. So next week we'll see the verse number 7th. Any question or comment? Anyone has any question or comment? Okay, we'll end it here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.